But one of the things that really stands out to me is just how much of a family business this is. You know, we were just sharing photos of your two daughters working, and you guys had a Christmas photo, right? I mean, you're sitting next to your daughter who's worked in the business for over 2 decades. Talk to me about that family experience and sharing this business with your family.
Yeah, I think small businesses, you gotta make it a family business because you're all gonna be involved in it one way or the other. But yeah, with Kaleigh, we were just having a conversation about this the other day. It may have started off a little more of a punishment situation where when she would get in trouble, the consequence was to have to come to the company and as a teenager and file papers and build cabinets for the new buildings and things like that. But at some point in her life, she finally decided, boy, I want to be involved in this company. And she was still pretty young at the time. So it was nice because I worked so much at that time, because that's what you do, especially when it was a smaller company. I wore a lot of hats. So it was kind of fun having your kids there. At one point we were just mentioning, I had all 3 kids there. We had, my other daughter was in the call center, and then Christopher was dispatch. And so that was a neat experience for me to have everyone there at the same time.
It's interesting, you know, as a young kid, you always say, I'm never gonna work for a family business. You know, you try to get as far away from it as you can.
No. No, 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 no.
And during the few summers during high school that I worked here as kind of a punishment, so to say, or to earn a little extra cash, you kind of start getting excited about it. You like the camaraderie and what you're doing and seeing the growth. In my teenage years, there was a lot of growth with the company. I would say it was probably 19 or 20 was when I decided, after working for a couple other companies, that this is where I wanted to land my feet. And it was a wonderful experience. I mean, I wore many hats over the years and grew, and it became this challenge, this infectious passion that I got from my dad. And it's really fun. It's really fun. There's ups and downs working in a business with your family, but I would say more ups and downs, and just that pride that you feel when you work for a family business.
Well, and it's just, when I first opened Pacific Aire, I actually opened it with my sister. And my sister and I are very close, and it was a great start for me because my sister was a very smart administrator, and I was very good at operational side. So we were a nice balance. And then as we grew the company, we realized we had different directions. So she went off and formed another company that was very successful, and then ended up going to Texas, and she and her sons opened a large HVAC company out there. So, but it was great for me to have someone that had my back, that was family, that you could trust, that was taking this part of the business and I was taking this part of the business, and we kind of grew it for the first 10 years until we split off and went our own ways with it. Family, though, is a funny word, because I will tell you that I especially, there are people that have been with me for years in this company. There are managers who are absolutely my family now. It's not, they're not employees. I mean, Irma, my wife calls Irma my work wife, but she's part of my family, and she's been with me for 19 years, and it happens, it evolves when you have a company and you work with people, and people that care about you and care about, it's not just, they're not putting in time with you, they're actually helping you build something great, and they become family. So family is kind of a description of how our company is. I think, and even though we're a much larger company now, I still feel that. I mean, I hear from you and your teams, and you talk about the babies and the things, the milestones in their lives, and it's just, that's conversations you have about your family, not about your employees.
Family has stayed at the center. It's rooted in everything that we do as a group. We do this together. And I think that that's something that really helps us serve this community. I want to talk about one really funny story Kaleigh was talking about the other day, because your mom was quite involved, right? She was a computer nerd, or she was your guiding guru of technology. Talk to me about your mom working in the business. Maybe Kaleigh, you have some good insight on that.
When my sister and I split up, we bought a building in Ventura, and we built out the offices. And at the time, my mom was a professor up at UCSB, and she really was into computers. And I realized at this point now the computers were really the future, and that we wanted to be, even though we were a construction company, we wanted to be at the front end of the technology stuff. So when I built the offices, I actually built an office in the middle that had glass windows around it, and I put my mom there, and that was her office for school. But I knew if I gave her an office, then I could pick on her brain all the time about technology and computers, and she would help us with the computers. So it was kind of fun for my employees and my kids, because they could always be walking around and see grandma, see my mom there. And my employees all knew that they could just walk in the room and, Ruth, get some help on this computer issue. So. And my dad actually did Title 24 for us. So back then, that's when California was first starting to get into some pretty serious regulation with HVAC, heating and air conditioning, and they were determining what sizes you could put. Back in the 60s and early 70s, it was the Wild West. You built a house and you threw a unit in, and it didn't matter how big or small it was just put it in. Efficiencies, energy wasn't important. But then they realized that they had to be more efficient, and they had to take the house and decide how much loss there was and how much gain you needed and what sizes you needed to do. So since I needed that person, my dad offered to go get the training and the certification necessary so that he could do that for the company. So again, as you share this with us, I forget how many family members we had in the business. So my dad was actually doing the load calcs for the heating and air conditioning for us. I don't think he got an office, so he had to share it with my mom.
He had to share it, yeah.